Hi, this video is for everyone out there who has a large mental health, behavioral health system that you're monitoring, and you've got some CANS or ANSA data, and you want to know, what happened? What's been going on? How has my system been impacted by the COVID-19 crisis? There's some things I'm seeing in our data here at CDR I want to share with people. Please reach out to me. Maybe you're looking at your own data and you'd like to see things, or you'd like to know how can we see the same kind of information about our network. And that's, you'll see this is very helpful stuff. We're going to focus our analysis today on a program that provides in-home behavioral tech support to children with significant needs like autism or serious emotional disturbance. We're going to look at 7 quarters of time from April 1st, 2018 to right before the beginning of 2020, and then the same thing from April 1st, 2020, right to the before of 2022, giving us comparable quarters so we can really see, try to control for differences. So let's start right here with something we've been tracking for years. In this particular service, we track how much of this behavioral tech, this bachelor's degree person who's supervised by someone with a master's degree in the home or the school, how much of that service is prescribed per week and how much of that service is delivered. And you can see back in 2017, about 12.5 hours a week of the service were recommended on average and went up a little bit and down. It was in a homeostatic kind of process, and the amount delivered was always a little bit less, but you could see in parallel step and moving along and until 2020 hit, and then we started seeing this drop in the hours delivered. People weren't going to work because we were in shelter in place, but it was still being recommended. The service was still being recommended. In fact, there was in this run during the summer of 2020 to try to get the hours in. There was even a peak here in October right before that big wave and that fall and winter hit. But and then it's been going down since then, the Great Resignation, and just these workers to do this work are just not available. Meanwhile, the program gets referred to higher and higher amounts, and people are not receiving that treatment. So the service is being prescribed more and more, but there's less of it being delivered. What else can we say about changes in the referral stream? Well, we like to distinguish between initial CANs that are done to start care, CANs that are done through care, and which are called continued CANs, and then CANs at discharge. And we label these differently. Looking at these trends can tell us a lot about who's coming in, who's staying, and who's going. So let's take a look at this data. You can see that there's been a major change, a major drop in the amount of CANs that are done initially. There's less people coming into this program since the crisis hit. There are more CANs proportionally that are occurring through. So people are being carried through the program, continuing to get the service recommended, and then even discharge. There was a higher amount of discharging from the program. I think the stresses of what's going on right now, people who don't really want to do the work to get the service, or just letting themselves drop out. And so you're seeing this very different trend. You can also notice that overall, if you add up all the orange, it is 29% less than it was when you added up the blue. So the program has really shrunk as far as the amount of CANs that are being scored. And we saw it's also significantly shrunk as the amount of hours actually being delivered, but there's still recommendation for those people in the program. They're still getting more and more of the hours recommended because they still have needs. Well, we can say right here that before the crisis, the typical person coming into this program, regardless if they got 0 to 30, 30 to 70, or 70% of their hours, had typically come in with around 10 actionable needs on the CANs. It's a moderate high score. And then when they would leave the program, there was an improvement. The best improvement was those people who got all of these hours. But you see, these people came down to around 3.5, 4 actionable needs upon discharge. A nice improvement. Since the crisis, that black bar, notice, has gone up. Really in all the groups. People who are leaving the program, we saw there's a rise in discharges, but they're leaving not as well off as they were previously. People used to leave the program with only about 4 actionable needs. Now they're leaving with around 5. And what those actionable needs is another interesting question, which we will dive into hopefully in a future video. But I think you can already see here, wow, major impact on the system, on the availability of care, and even the people who are the change in the outcomes of the program, the change in the kind of impact it had on its general user. So I hope you found this interesting. If you have your own data, please share. Or if you want to learn about how to do this with your own system, please reach out to us.